very dejected-looking Manchester United, a sight that we have seen many a time so far this season as the game ends in a 1-1 draw. All right, well, let's have a look at the top of the table. You will find Manchester United there in 6th, level on points with Chelsea. They do miss a massive opportunity, though, to go ahead of Chelsea in the standings. So, Stevie, let's talk about it, shall we? Because I know you could not take your eye off of this game. And as you described it to me, you said good point earned for United, right?
Yeah, well, you know, if they stay,
round off the year.
If they stay up, then they'll look back at this point and say this was it. Yeah, this was just Manchester United. I mean,
peak.
I mean, if you knew nothing about the Premier League and you'd sat down for the first time ever, you would think there's not much between these two teams. I mean, that's the honest truth. I mean, going forward, there was nothing exciting about Manchester United. And certainly from a defensive point of view and all the stuff that Amarin's been going on about, changing from 5 to 3 to 4. Well, 4 apparently now seems to be the way to go. Well, he didn't look very comfortable defensively either. So, yeah, I think once again we've just kind of seen that this is the level that Manchester United are right now. And until they make more and better signings all over the field, then this is what you're going to get, I'm afraid.
Well, as we said, that this point actually ended an 11-losing streak for Wolves, Shaka. But as Stevie said, of course, Man United probably will want to do some reinforcing in January. But they are currently without a couple of players, especially because of AFCON. Do you sympathise with them a little bit with that? Could you blame that?
No, this is Wolves. Wolves will go down. I feel fairly confident. Wolves will go down as one of the worst teams in the Premier League with their points total this year, even with this point. And while, to your point, Alexis, no Bruno Fernandes, no Mbeumo, but Ruben Amorim made the point that without those players, you are asking others to step up, to take some responsibility. Now, you mentioned that had Manchester United won this, they would have gone above Chelsea. Had they won, they would have also gone above Liverpool, albeit Liverpool would have a game in hand. And now, I'm a firm believer in the psychology of these games. You have an opportunity to get yourself into the top 4 at home to arguably, time will prove me wrong or not, the worst team the Premier League has seen. And you squander that opportunity. As a matter of fact, you quite easily could have lost this, given some of Wolves' chances late on. And that just, again, speaks to this team, a lack of character about them, about who they are, and their ability to get a job done. The fact that we still having conversations around, and to Frank's point earlier about whether the league is as strong as it had been in years gone by, now all of a sudden we're talking about this version of Manchester United possibly finishing top 4. And this is and I know where they finished last season, but this is arguably as bad a Manchester United as we saw last season. Yet they are here with a chance, a win or two, and rubber the green of being in the top 4. I think that speaks volumes to them, but more to the point, on today's game, it speaks volumes about a lack of personality within this team to really excel.
Jürgen, what about you? Given the fact that we know how deep Manchester United's problems are, how surprised were you with this result?
I think we're all surprised about the result, and it's like Shaka says rightfully, it is a question of character. It's a question of the spirit of the locker room. I mean, you as a manager, you go crazy there out on the sideline, because you need to see urgency from your players. You need to see kind of almost desperation to score another goal to get the 3 points against Wolverhampton Wanderers, who has been a disaster this season and will go down into the championship. So this drives you, as a manager, this drives you crazy, a situation like that. You question everything. You question your environment. You question the people that work around you. And that's not only the players, that's the entire locker room, all the people that work day in, day out with the players are to be questioned. Are they driven enough? Are they Do they have character enough? Are they desperate enough to get 3 points every week in, week out? And I mean, we always kind of tend then to make the manager responsible for everything. But I think, in a game like that today, where you as Manchester United, need to just prove your point and get 3 points, no matter how you get the 3 points, but you get the 3 points. So that's where you now look at the whole bigger picture and say, maybe within this entire club, there are some things that are just simply not right, because it's impossible not to get the 3 points today.
Alexis, as a coach, that's the one thing that drags you down. You can lose games, but if you lose games and you can see the fight and the desire and the will, but they just keep making mistakes and things are going against you, and maybe some teams are just better than you. But when you're sitting on the sideline watching your team and you don't see the desire and you don't see the energy to try and be better, that's what drags you down as a coach. That is the worst feeling ever.
Frank, you spoke about the inconsistencies that we see at Chelsea in terms of formation, etc. Looking at Manchester United now, we've seen Ruben Amorim tinkering with his lineup and how he puts out his 11, whether it's a back 3 or a back 4 now. And I remember the time where we were pretty much criticizing him that he was not being flexible, that he was just sticking to his system whenever it wasn't working. Now we see him being flexible, but it's still all going wrong.
Yeah, it does. And I don't see if there is any solution. And I think the first maybe thing that they have to do, they have to stop that the Manchester United that we have now is the Manchester United who belongs to history in the Premier League. That's over. That's another era. And Manchester United is not the club that it used to be. Yes, in terms of history, it's maybe the biggest club in the world, or one of the biggest clubs in the world. But we have to stop to think that Manchester United is capable of doing anything right now. And it's been a while for that we thought that. So you have the player that you deserve. You have maybe the coach that you deserve. You have maybe the whole locker room that you deserve. And you have to do something about that, because it doesn't work. And it hasn't worked for years now. And I think if there is somebody who maybe know what's going on, is maybe, the old players. Some players who have non-success. And maybe the Roy Keane, maybe the David Beckham, I don't know, some others like that, Peter Schmeichel. And maybe they should talk to know what is the solution. And what kind of medicine they should take, because it doesn't work at all. And the player maybe that they are hiring are not at the level that people are expecting.
An exorcism. I think that's exactly what the entire club needs. A whole exorcism. Call up the Vatican. Let's schedule it.